right, guys. So I am going to go through the expectations for Unit 3. Sorry, my bad. Unit 2, Lesson 13, Personal Web Page Project. Now, this is a summative assignment. It is the end of Chapter 1, if you will, of Unit 2. So this is a summative assignment. It will go into our gradebook as a test, which means it's more than the mini project. This is like a big project. So there are several assignments that have led up to this. So let me just want to kind of back this up. First of all, when we did chapter 2, lesson 10, this was where we were defining what we wanted to do for our project. So hopefully you have this completed. I am going to go through in a moment and return the ones to people who have turned them in so that they have that as a reference guide. The other piece of information that you are going to need is your preparation. So if you recall, when we talked about the problem-solving process, we defined the process, we prepare to solve the process. So that is what lesson 12 was. So going into lesson 13, you really do need to have lesson 10 and lesson 12 completed. I do want to remind you that lesson 10 and lesson 12 are both graded in the Google Classroom. That being said, so when you first in the problem solving process, we define our problems and then we prepare to solve our problems. And then the next step is we try something out and then we reflect back on it. So that is what is in this assignment, ladies and gentlemen. So the first things first, I want to take a look at our rubric. What all needs to be in your assignment, in your project, in order to score well. This is just a checklist. So again, this is just kind of something for you to kind of take a quick look at. This is a quick check. Do you have it? Do you not have it? These are things that need to be part of your web web page. So it has to use CSS. That's the styling styling language. You have to have HTML, of course. That is our structural language for web pages. Few or no syntax errors. So remember that pink code. If your code is working, that means you don't have any syntax errors. If it's not working, there's something wrong with the code. Give me one moment. I have a visitor. Go. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I had a quick visitor. Okay, so let's take a look at the rubric. That's what we were doing. So in the rubric, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that we have is just a quick checklist. Things that need to be in your website. So CSS, you have to have a styling sheet. HTML, you have to have structure to your web page. Again, we were talking about syntax errors. That is the fact that a syntax error means that does your code work? So if you tried to make a heading and the heading is not working, then that's a syntax error. If you made a heading and the heading works, then there is not a syntax error there. Your web page renders correctly, and then all your text in your page is contained inside the elements. So remember, any content for the web page needs to be within the body elements, body tags. I think that's all because the heading, the link tag should already be coded for you. CSS properties, you use at least 10 different CSS properties. Style the layout of the page, use styling text of the page. Your web page has at least 8 different HTML tags. Your web page includes multiple size headings, multiple images of different sizes, multiple sized paragraphs. Your code should be consistently and well formatted. This is one of those things where I always say, well, I put this in and then I hit enter. I don't put a big giant glob of random code all in one line. That's not clean code. Your code has your tags and your nestings. Your website does not give away any personally identifiable information. We've talked about this. We did the whole thing on the social sleuthing. We've talked about things that should and should not be made public. And finally, citation. So as you go in and get images, you're going to have to give proper attribution. If I continue downward, looking at the project rubric, this goes into more detail. So extensive evidence, if this is what you have going on, that would be an A for that section. So everything down this first column would be A level work. And then there's some few things missing down the second column, that is B level work. Down the third column, that is C level work. And then, of course, no evidence of all, that would be E level work. Okay? So there is that. That is our rubric. It is going to be a guide as to what all you need to do, because you've already defined what you want to make your project about back in lesson 10. You've already prepared, you already hopefully downloaded some images. Hopefully you have some ideas of what kind of tags and what kind of stylings you want to use from lesson 12. So now we're just going to put it all together. Additionally, in lesson 13, I have a copy of the reflection. Once you are done coding your site, probably Thursday of this week, we are going to have peer reviews, and that is when you are going to be filling out this particular sheet. But we'll talk more about it when we get there. Okay. So again, as you get into your personal website, and again, this should be in your code.org account, lesson 13. Let me get there. So again, these are just some examples of personal websites if you want to take a look back at them. All right, so these could be a guide for you in terms of things that you may or may not want to do. But once you get into bubbles 2, 3, 4, and 5, this is where you're actually going to be using your information from lesson 10 and 12 to actually build your website. It already has an HTML file for you. It already has a CSS file for you, and they're already linked. So you already have the link created. So just don't erase it and it'll be perfectly fine. And remember, all of your information for your website for your HTML should go in the body portion of the paragraphs. Now it kind of tells you piece by piece. So in lesson bubble 2, it tells you to upload your images. Make sure your images have good file names. So hopefully you remember how to add an image using the add image website. If you get into bubble 3, excuse me, this is where you are going to add in your HTML. So this is where you're going to be doing your headings, your lists, adding your content. Bubble 4. This is where you are going to create the rule sets for the HTML in your CSS sheet. And bubble 5. Go through and make sure that you don't have too many identifiable informations. And this is the point, like I said earlier, where we're going to be having peer reviews, but those peer reviews probably won't be until probably like Thursday-ish. So until that time, you don't need to worry about your peer reviews. And then we're going to publish our websites, and then at the end, there's like a survey. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that sort of covers what is going to come into what's going to happen with the project. Again, this is project week, so all week you can ask questions. I have somebody in the chat right now asking, can I come to office hours to get help with the project? Sure, you can, but all week, all we're doing is working on the project. Again, please be advised, if you're missing a bunch of work, and then you're asking, how do I do an image? And I go back and I look and you haven't done the image lesson. My advice to you will always be, go back and do the image work first. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop my video.